Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining this webinar that is devoted to how to play with opposite colored bishops. And this is me, Feeder Master Viktor Neustroev. Thank you for coming, and of course, we are waiting for more people to come. Now we have 6 attendees. Okay, guys, please share where you are from. So you know I'm from Russia. I live in Russia and sometimes play in Russia, but I usually prefer to play in Europe. Okay, so Indonesia, Spain, perfect. Catalonia, which city? Because I was in Barcelona many times. Oh, Barcelona. Okay, perfect. I like this city very much. Oh, very difficult to join. Michael, what was the problem? Is it with your internet? Uh, Okay, maybe it's the internet. Okay, anyway, I don't think that today's lesson gonna be hard because it's mainly about weakness of certain squares, certain diagonals, and how to exploit your bishop activity. This is what this lesson is about. Okay, guys, who wants microphone? Okay, I'm trying to give the microphone for Anusha first. Who else? Michael. Okay, Michael, I enabled microphone for you. I also did the same thing for Anusha. Okay, who else wants? Michael, you think? I see. No,
All right,
you
let's
in
try.
chat.
Is there echo?
Let's. Yes.
Still an echo? Okay. I'll just use the chat thing then.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, Anusha, I see. I enabled your microphone. Now you are allowed to say something. Don't forget about the cogwheel sign that you should click, and then just check your settings to be sure that you chose the audio set. Also, you can ask your father to help you. Okay, who else? Okay, Javier doesn't have microphone. Stan from... Oh, okay. Anyway, Stan, if you want, you can say something. I enabled your microphone too. Renat from Latvia. I can also enable microphone. If you want, you can say something and suggest lines. And Clayton, let me try. Okay. Okay, perfect. Actually, guys, okay, I see no microphone. Okay, no problem, guys. Actually, I enabled the microphone for everyone who wanted. Um, if for some reason you can't use it or you don't know how, just you can ask. Or, for example, okay, anyway, let's start the webinar. Just one thing that I want you to know before we start it. I believe you can see my screen. This is my chess.com profile. And what do I suggest? So, first, if you remember, our previous webinar was about French defense with our variation, how to play it for white. And for those who wants to get PGN, you can click to my group, my educational group that is called Tricks of Chess. This is the link. I can provide you with this link. I can type it here in chat if you want. Okay, this is French defense, win our variation, PGN. Click here. No, if you are not a member, then you should join. It's free and no approval required. So, and here this is PGN. Let's just wait until this chess.com application loads. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Finally. And if you want to download it to your computer, you click on this sign that is called share. Then your task is to choose PGN, and then you click on this button, on this icon, and download this PGN, so the entire line, so that you can repeat it anytime if you want. Okay, perfect. We are done with it, I believe. And our oh, actually, this is the first position. So today I decided to make a kind of a special webinar. By the end of the webinar, I will choose maybe the best or maybe the most active player, the most active student who suggested more correct lines and moves and who was more active. And if he wants, I suggest to play a blitz game after the webinar with this person. So what can I say about opposite colored bishops? So usually when you get a position with opposite colored bishop, it's considered to be a draw because it's really difficult to win, but it's difficult to win the end game if there are no weaknesses on both for both sides. But if you play the middle game and you can initiate the attack, then this or bishop of a different color that your opponent have can help you to get extra piece, because this bishop can cover the squares that that the enemy bishop can't. So this is the idea, and today I'm going to show you 3 examples and 3 exercises that I want you to complete. Okay, so first we start with this position that you see. I believe everything is fine and you can see this this position on the board. I know that Anusha knows this game, that's why. So if you just remember the moves, I just want you don't suggest if you know how to play. But the second position that we are going to analyze, I'm absolutely sure you're not familiar with and you don't know. Okay, fine. Okay, I can also enable microphone for Vadim. Vadim, can you say something? Yes, hello, I can hear you, but looks like you have a poor connection. Okay, anyway, let's start. So what can you say about this position? It's obvious that white is better, but can you suggest a winning plan for white? What white can do? So what can you notice? Of course, black has weaknesses on his dark squares here, even on h8. a5 is a weakness, by the way. But white can't checkmate without the queen. However, the queen is tied down to this pawn. It has to protect this square because otherwise black checkmates by playing queen g2. Okay, Javier suggested c4. What other ideas do you have in this position? Okay, c4 with the idea to get rid of the bishop. Okay, I'm just waiting for more ideas. Then rook d8. Okay. Vadim, do you have any ideas?
White, well, very weak on the black squares for the king side.
That's true. This is what I mentioned in the very beginning. But what white should do in this position? Okay, so we have several ideas. C4, rook takes d5, and what? Rook e6, c6? Renat, what do you mean? Rook d6 and then c6 with a pawn. Okay, I see. So rook e6, rook d6 and c6 with the pawn. Yes, that makes sense, of course. However, it's not the best option. Okay, perfect. Now, rook d6 and c6 looks very slow. That's why here Javier is correct. So c4. However, if bishop c4, then yes, it's obvious. Now let's take with the bishop. Yeah, bishop takes, then yes, rook d8. You're absolutely right about this move. And no, actually, the idea is, no, let's say he goes back to d5. Then we take on g8, king g8, and after queen d8, we just checkmate on h8 with our queen. But the problem is that instead of taking with the bishop, he takes with his queen. And now if you play rook d8, you can notice that your bishop on d4 is hanging. How to deal with the bishop now? What can you suggest? Oh, actually, while you are thinking how to play then, I just want to cover this line, rook d5, that Michael suggested. Then maybe queen f6 with the idea to get the control over these squares, but queen e6, he offers the trade. And no, Michael, it doesn't work. Because here you're down the exchange. Maybe white can make a draw, but this is the maximum that he has. So yeah, we are in this position. C4, queen c4. Any ideas how to continue? Oh, if not, then queen f6. Now black plays queen a2 with the intention to checkmate on g2, maybe with a hope to get to force this queen to go back to g5 to protect on g2. However, instead of moving the queen back, white has a better move, which is bishop b2. Now this line is blocked. There is no longer a checkmating threat. And black plays queen to c4 with the intention to take on f4. So black wants to take on f4, and maybe there is a perpetual check. However, I don't think so. Anthony, same line. What do you mean? Okay. So let's go back. So maybe you are talking about your variation. So c4, and what did you suggest? Bishop c4, rook d8. This is what I said. Yes, that's true. But of course, here after c4, the best option for black is to capture with the queen. Then we play queen f6. He goes with his queen back to a2. And for example, queen e2 doesn't work with the same intention, but it doesn't work because the queen has to stay on this diagonal to protect the d5 bishop. That's why queen a2. And if so, we play bishop b2, just blocking this rank. What can he do? No, actually, he plays queen c4 back with the idea to take on f4, but we may play queen e5, keeping our queen on the same diagonal with the intention to play rook d8. If rook takes, then queen g7 leads to a checkmate. Okay. Okay, so now you see letters and numbers. No, just let me double check. Shadow. Okay, I think it's okay. It should be fine. So, queen e5. What did black play in this position? Bishop e6 was played here. No, you see, for example, something like queen e4 with the idea to trade the queens, then we can just capture on d5 and get extra piece. So bishop e6 is played. How would you continue in this position? Okay, so rook d8. That's right. Anusha, no, just suggest lines for the second position, okay? So rook d8, that's right. Rook d8, threatening to give a checkmate on h8. And here they played f6. Now, otherwise, we could just play queen h8. His only move is to take with the rook, and then rook checkmates. So f6. No, not here, here, f6. How would you continue for white now? Oh, queen takes on f6. Yeah, I think queen takes on f6 is the best option here. So queen f6 with the same threat, and queen f4 is not a problem because we can always escape. Queen e3, king h1, and there is no perpetual check because e5 square is covered. However, you should calculate everything. In this game, it was Julius Perlis from Latvia playing for white, and it was Frank Marshall with black pieces. However, Julius decided not to calculate anything, and he just played this move. This is a check, and at the same time, the pawn on e4 is protected. Rook g7 was played in this position. However, what if bishop f7? How would you continue in such a case? Rook d7? I believe even rook d7 is a winning move, but not the best one. Rook d7. If rook d7, then I think rook f8 can be played maybe. There is a better option. Rook's exchange. Yeah, I think this is right. Rook takes, king has to take. Then queen d8, queen d8. He goes to h7, and still the same thing with queen f6 because queen f4 is not a perpetual check. Okay, fine. So let's go back. Bishop f7 didn't help really. However, rook g7 was played instead, and now I want you to find a winning idea for white. After a few moves, no, actually, let me check how many moves left. Yeah, after the next move, black resigned. What was the next move? Okay, so Renat suggested rook h8, king h8, and then bishop f6. Clever, but bishop f7, and this is how he blocks the file. Oh, I mean, this is how he blocks the 7th rank. And if you play something like queen e5 to increase the pressure, it only leads to...
Bishop f6.
Okay, yeah, I see. So okay, let's do this line. Rook king takes, bishop takes f6 in this position, bishop f7 blocking it, queen e5 I believe should be played. Then let's say king queen to e4, bishop takes, king h7, and in this position I am absolutely sure white has to play c6 or trade the queens. No, let's say c6, queen e5, bishop e5, then let's say bishop e6, and it's likely to be a draw because of opposite colored bishops. So unfortunately, it doesn't work. That's why here after rook g7, the best move is that what Vadim suggested, it's bishop f6, because if he captures the queen, then rook h8 is a checkmate. If not, then we capture this rook, and it's over. Like this, for example. If something like that, then we have several ideas. One of them, I think, is this move, because if he takes, the game is over. And rook h8, for example. Okay, so perfect. Let's go back to the very beginning. So you see here, these dark squares were already weakened, and our task is just to find a way how to use them. We get our queen and bishop together, and then traded the enemy rook that was the only defender of these dark squares, and finally checkmated the king. Okay, now another position. Okay, here we go. This is a game fragment from the game between Akiba Rubinstein and Rudolf Spielmann. Oh, here it's white to move, and white decided to play bishop d5 because he wanted this position with bishops of opposite color. It's not winning, but white is better here. Okay, if e takes, how would you play in this position for white? How to continue? What comes to your mind? E4. Okay. What else? Actually, Anthony, what's the idea of e4? Okay, what other suggestions do you have? It's okay to share even if it's a mistake. Okay, Anusha suggested e6. Bishop d4 and rook c5. That makes sense. What else? Okay. e4 I think is a mistake. Why? Because it allows black to play d4. And then this diagonal is blocked. However, that was the only advantage that white had here in this position. So if only white can exploit the weakness on the dark squares and especially the long diagonal, then he can outplay black and maybe find how to checkmate. As for e6, that makes sense, but I believe it's too early in this position. Bishop d4 and rook c5 makes sense, and this is how I would play if there was nothing concrete in this position. No, this is a good strategical plan, actually. However, queen a3 first. Then let's say any move, let's say bishop d7. e6 now should be played when we are ready. Bishop takes, but how would you continue here? Queen c3, what else? Why not? Okay, rook c6. Okay, yes, right. Here you play rook c6 because queen c3 immediately doesn't work because of d4, and then this pawn now blocks. Then, for example, rook b3 can be played, queen goes to e1, then maybe something like bishop d5, and now the bishop is totally restricted. That's why here the best option was to capture on c6 first. Then let's say queen here, bishop e5, queen b4, and queen e1 with the intention to play bishop h8 and queen to g7. No, after a few moves, you'll see. So bishop h8, the only way to block it is d4, but then bishop d4, white is one pawn up. Moreover, white is going to capture on a7 and advance his a pawn. It's not a winning position, but it's clear that white is better, and he can combine two ideas to promote the a pawn and to give a checkmate to the king, because black king is really weakened while white king is in a safe position. Okay. That could happen in case of e takes d5 here, but it was rook d5 played in the game. And then, right, bishop d4 and rook c5, or bishop d5, c5. This is what should be played. For example, queen a5 with the idea to sacrifice the pawn, but to take on a4, to open a light squared bishop. h3. And I believe here c5 could give more practical chances for black than rook c5, rook c5, rook c5. The queen is hanging. Queen takes on a4, but then rook a5 attacking both pieces. However, I believe it's difficult to win this position while we have pawns only one side. No, of course, it's obvious that here white is better and only white is playing for a victory, but at the same time, a victory is not guaranteed. White is just slightly better. And that was the best thing that black could do. However, in the game, black played queen a6. And what do you think? How to play in this position for white now? Please suggest a move. Rook c5 with the intention to block the c pawn. I see, rook c5. That makes sense. I agree with you, but it's not the best option. Rook b1. Okay, what loses a bishop, Michael? Rook b1? How? Oh, I don't like rook b1 actually. Why? Because rook b1, rook takes on b1, queen takes on b1, and then queen a4. No, this is what I see. And queen b8 cannot be played because this rook is hanging. And after rook b2, for example, rook b5 just blocking it. Okay, yes, here I think the best move is bishop c5. Just to block the c pawn, not to allow any activity. Why not with a rook? Because we need our rook for some other ideas. And actually in the game it was played rook to c4. That was the second strongest move in this position. With the idea to protect on a4 as well as to play rook h4 or rook f4, g4 if needed, just to join the rook to the attack. Bishop c5 is a possible continuation, and no, yeah, this is maybe the strongest move, and we are not afraid of this because at least bishop d6 can be played. Anyway, to open this diagonal is too risky for black. Okay, so rook c4, h5, queen to a3 with the idea to get to e7. Then rook b7 to cover this square. And what do you think? How to continue this attack? And yeah, so here white is totally focused on the kingside attack. He may combine some other ideas, but the main problem of black position is a weakness of his dark squares near his king. Bishop c5. Bishop c5, and what then? a5. I just don't understand. a5, queen a5, what's then? There is a rook on d5. Yeah, I see bishop c5, but I don't understand the idea behind this move. Michael suggested e4. Yes. So bishop c5 doesn't contain any idea because what? For example, rook d1 can be played to be able to trade rooks like this. I don't know if it works. Okay, actually, rook d1, rook takes on d1, queen c4, rook goes here, rook b1 check, king h2. And maybe something like this. And if rook takes on e8, then queen f1 with the idea to find a perpetual check with queen takes. Okay, and what if queen a2, for example? Then h4, and yes, there should be a perpetual check. Or maybe queen b1 should be played, but no, here white is not winning. So bishop c5 is not a good move. e4, this is the best option. And this is what Michael suggested. That's right. With the intention to get the queen closer to the king. Exactly. And rook c4 was played with the idea to protect on d4. So previously this move didn't work, but now it's the best option. Rook d8, the rook was hanging. Queen c3. I think it's time to play queen e3 in this position, but okay, queen c3. He doubles the rooks, then queen e3. King h7 to cover the h6 square, otherwise the queen is too close to the king. And what do you think? How to continue this attack? So now we can't get with our queen to h6 right now. What do you think we can do to be able to deliver our queen there? No, Anusha, bishop c3 and bishop d2. Bishop d2 can't be played without some other preparation because two rooks are there. G4 makes sense, but G4, H4. However, then you can play queen to G5. But if you play, okay, so G4, H4, and if you play queen G5, you lose your bishop. So you first should play with your bishop, and then I think it's too slow. He can do something else. Okay, so just waiting what Javier wants to suggest. Okay, any ideas? What else? King h2? What's the idea of king h2? And Michael, what file do you want to close with bishop c5? You mean bishop c5, bishop d6? That would make sense, but what? Okay, so bishop c5, bishop d6 would make sense if this file is important, but it's not. Here we are totally focused on the king side. Okay, guys, so actually, yes, now we found. So Anusha suggested bishop c5, bishop f8. This is the best option. However, king h2 makes sense because we can play bishop c5, bishop f8 after that. And by playing king h2, we avoid the variation that happened in the game. So here it was rook d1 played. And what's the only move for white in this position? What do you think? King h2, exactly. Because if we take, then we can lose a rook on c4. That's why here king h2 should be played immediately. So if you play king h2 earlier, then you make this move, rook d1. So, oh, sorry. What is going on? Wait. Okay. So if you play king h2 early, then you would make this line unavailable for black. However, you can play bishop c5 right now and allow him to play this move, because then you play with your king to h2 and it still works. So, for example, here the best move was king g7, after which we can take here. Oh, that's not the best choice. We can play queen f4, I think, with the idea to play queen f6. Maybe bishop e7. There is nothing that he can do. Okay, however, in the game after king h2, they took on c1, and after bishop f8, black found out that there is nothing that he could do, and he resigned. Why? Because, for example, king g8 move and queen h6, no defense against queen g7. So here we successfully penetrated with our bishop and queen using these dark squares. Just let's go back and imagine this plan. So first, take here. If rook takes, if pawn takes, it opens the diagonal, and this is what we should do. This is how we should exploit our advantage. If here rook takes on d5, then we play bishop d4, control this square to stop c5, get our rook to protect everything, play e4, and get our queen to h6. This is the general idea. Okay, Michael, do you have a question? Okay, so we have a question from Michael. Let me read it. So when we have opposite colored bishops, what usually means a draw, we should try to use those weak and strong squares to win or improve our position. Yes, that's true. So if we have bishops of opposite color, our task is to make weaknesses, especially on the side where the enemy king is located. And these weaknesses should be the same. These weaknesses should be squares of the same color as our bishop is, so that we can penetrate with our bishop, but he can't cover them with his bishop. This is the idea. And no, I think I can't say that this is true in all cases. I think in most cases it's true, but it's chess and everything depends on the concrete position. Maybe there is a concrete tactical solution and it wouldn't work. But if there is no, then yes, it should be your general plan. Okay, fine. I have one more example for you. And this is the game between Tigran Petrosyan and Lev Polugaevsky. They played a match in 1970. Petrosyan won that match, but this is, if I'm not mistaken, the fourth game of this match, and here Petrosyan was playing with white pieces. No, let's start analyzing this position. So he played bishop e5. What is a normal move in this position? He closed this file. This bishop works like an outpost. He is okay with this trade because in such a case he considers the dark squared bishop to be much better than this light squared one. And I believe the best thing that black can do in this position is to somehow force a draw by activating this b7 bishop. Maybe he wants to sacrifice the pawn on d4, and this is how he can draw the game. However, it's not obvious, and I'm not sure that it works. He could try, but there is no guarantee. However, bishop rook c8 was played in this position, queen b2, and this is where he decided to trade his knight for a bishop. However, I believe in this position white is much better because he has a clear plan to play rook g3 to put some pressure on g7. Rook c6 was played. h3 just to make an escape square for the king. h6 with the same intention. And rook e3. What's the idea of this move? What do you think? What white wants to do on the next move after he played rook to e3? Take on g7 and then bishop g7, queen g7, rook e8, king h7. Oh, okay, Michael. Bishop g7, queen g7. If you play rook e8 check, king h7, what then? Oh, I doubt that you can checkmate in this position. Your task is just to gain some extra material. Well, as for rook g3, I think it can be always met with rook g6. So, okay, so here Anthony is correct. The idea is to take here, queen g7, then trade the queens, king takes on g7, and after that, white delivers the check on e7, and takes this bishop on b7, getting the position with one extra pawn, so it will be rook and game with one extra pawn and more chances to win. Okay, Anthony was correct in this variation. h6, rook e3. Rook g6 was played. However, I think the best option was to play d4 here. If bishop d4, then I think rook g6. And here I think f3 is the best option. However, maybe it's better to take with the queen on d4. And if rook g6, then f3 with the pawn. And because if rook g3, then rook takes rook, and king h7, I just don't know what white can do to be able to win this position while the weakness on g7 is well protected. So f3, and it's better to keep more pieces on the board. So just one more rule for you. If you're playing with bishops of opposite color, you'd better keep more pieces on the board, because if you trade them, then you will have no material to checkmate. Okay, let's go back. So here, rook g6 and bishop d4 to stop the pawn move. Now g2 is not hanging, white is fine. King h7, queen c2. The enemy queen is now tied down to the protection of the f5 pawn. Queen d7, king h2, some kind of prophylactics. Bishop c8, I think this move is a mistake. Instead, he could just stay and do something like rook c6 and then rook back to g6 for example, but rook c8 is a critical mistake that allows white to play rook c3 and get his queen to the 7th rank. Rook c7. Oh, here queen e6 was played. However, queen d6 is not better because bishop e5 with the same intention. Queen e6. How to play in this position for white now? What do you think? h4, h5. Okay, even if you play h4, h5. Okay, so h4. No, let's say h5. Then I'll play rook g4. Then you do what? f3? No, I doubt that it works. What? Rook a7, Michael? Rook a7 makes sense. That's not the best option, but it makes sense. Okay, so if h4, I can play h5 myself, of course. And another option is to play queen e4 that I like more. Why? Because here I'm threatening a checkmate, and looks like white is forced to take on e4. And then I'm not sure that it's a winning position. Okay, so queen takes e4, f takes e4, then let's say h5 or f5. Okay, h5. Rook g4, f3. E takes, okay, then rook goes here, king goes here, rook g4, rook takes d4, rook takes d4. Yeah, white is winning here, it's obvious. Okay, so maybe h4 is also a winning plan. However, rook a7 is stronger. But actually, guys, you didn't find the best option, which is g4 in this position. If f takes, then rook g7 can be played because the rook on g6 will be pinned in such a case. I don't know, if maybe queen e4 in this position, then we trade. And if he captures, then g takes, and the rook has no squares on the g file, and rook g7 can win the game. Here, Petrosyan is playing with white pieces, and it's Lev Pologoyevsky playing for black. Okay, so g4 was played. No, okay, I'll show this nice combination. F takes g4, rook g7 check. King has to move because this rook is pinned. And then just rook g6 check, and we can also gain a queen. I believe it's even a checkmate. Oh, it will be a checkmate soon. So king f8, rook e8 is a checkmate. That's why instead of taking, so, okay, so here g4, instead of taking, he plays bishop f1 move. But it doesn't really work because queen can capture on f2. Still threatening to take on g7 with our rook. That's why here queen takes, pawn takes. The rook has no squares except g2. That's why rook g2, but king h1. And then black resigned. Why? What are white's threats? So why did he resign? Yeah, first it's rook c1. Now f6 maybe, but rook c1 is a stronger threat because it attacks the bishop. If bishop moves, the rook is hanging. But f6 is strong enough because f6, f7 is the next move. Okay, so yeah, that's true. No, for example, a6, f6. What else can he do? Nothing. Okay, actually, both moves are right, even rook c1 and f6. Okay, fine. So let's go back. Here we had this position. Black decided to take the light squared bishop, but actually he didn't evaluate that his bishop is really bad and it's totally restricted with these and these pawns. There is no way to activate this light squared bishop, and it definitely has nothing to do on this diagonal. While the bishop on e5 is really a good piece, and now of course if there is no pawn on g7, then this bishop can be also useless. But because of this pawn and because of this counterplay on the enemy king, white can get the advantage and successfully exploit it. Fine. Okay, we are done with the game examples. Now I want you to give 3 exercises, 3 positions that I want you to solve on your own. No, I mean, yeah, your task will be to solve them now. Okay, let's flip the board. And this is a game fragment from the game between Alexander Kotov and Mikhail Botvinnik. How would you play in this position for black? It's black to move. Queen b7. Oh, okay. Looks like coordinates. Okay, queen g2, queen takes on g2. What then? Okay, yes, that's right. That's right. So that's right. Queen g2, queen takes on g2. And finally, rook e2. The queen is pinned. The best thing he can do is to take on c6, but then b takes on c6, and of course it's winning for black because of just this rook and two extra pawns. Okay, fine. The next one, very very similar, right? But now this is the game between Carlos Enrique Guimard and Alexander Kotov. So in the previous game, Kotov was playing with white pieces and he was losing, but this position is very similar. Maybe this is how he learned to play it. So here, Alexander Kotov is with black pieces, and what's the winning move? What's the winning combination? I can give you a few minutes to think. Queen b1 check. What's the idea of queen b1 check? What if he just goes to h2 with his king? Yeah, that doesn't do anything, unfortunately. Okay, so Michael, by saying bishop g7, b7, you think bishop g2? Okay, g2. Okay, guys, yes, it's bishop g2. But how to play after rook e8? Javier, what do you mean? You you typed bishop c3. What do you mean? Bishop c6. And who knows why not bishop h3? Bishop h3 doesn't lose the rook. We can capture this rook with our queen later. Anusha, you can't hear me. You should relog in, I think, in such a case. I can do it for you. Just wait a second. Relog in user. Oh, I'm sorry, but I I relog in you. Okay. Then queen f3. Okay, actually, bishop h3 in this position doesn't work because what, Michael? I don't understand what you wanted to say, because the rook escapes after the queen block. What do you mean? King h2 he plays. He can't block with the queen. Queen g2 doesn't work because of queen g2 checkmate. King h2 is the only move. Then we have a choice to take this rook, but to leave the bishop unprotected. No, it's not actually a choice. And this position is equal, actually, because of 3 pawns as a compensation for the bishop. That's why here anything including bishop e4 and bishop c6. Oh, bishop c6 is the best option, I think. Then king moves and bishop takes on e8. Why bishop? Because I think queen on g6 is better than anywhere. No, and the main idea here is that if queen takes on g2 after bishop g2, then we just capture here. The rook is not hanging because his queen is pinned. He has to take, but then he is down the exchange and 2 pawns. So queen h, Javier, queen h4 in this position. What's the idea? Oh, okay. Okay, and the last one. Okay, and this is the game example. No, it's not an example. It's this diagram is. It's from the game between Isaac Bolislavsky and Olaf Sterner. It's white to move. How would you play? Okay, bishop d4. No, it's white to move bishop. Okay, queen f7. What's the idea? So queen f7, then rook f7, then rook d8. And what then? Okay, let me draw these arrows. Queen f7, rook goes to d8. What's the next move?
Then bishop takes.
Bishop takes. Yes. Okay, right. And as for bishop d3 and queen moves, and then queen d8. Okay, I can show you. So bishop d3, let's say queen moves to e1, and then you play queen d8, but you are not threatening with anything. I can just ignore and play something else, including maybe bishop takes on e5, or let's just play this move. Because queen f8 is no longer a threat, while black can escape. Okay, Anusha, you still can't hear me. That's strange. Try to fix your... guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, looks like there is something wrong with Anusha's headset. Okay, so let's go back. So not bishop d3, of course. Yes, queen f7, like Michael and who? Vadim and who else? Who else? And Javier suggested. So then rook d8, king should move. And after bishop f7, we are going to play bishop g6. He has to sacrifice his queen for that bishop, and then white is winning because of extra exchange. There are no checks with this queen on b1, so he can't do anything to save the position. No option to escape as well. So this is how white wins. Okay, so that was the last example. Okay, what to repeat? Okay, I'll repeat it. So queen takes on f7, rook takes f7, rook d8, check. The only way for black to play is king h7, but then bishop takes on f7 with the idea to play bishop g6 check. After that, the only option for black is to sacrifice the queen for that bishop. But, okay, let's make a move. Queen takes, pawn takes, king has to take. Then just king g3, king f5, king f3, then g4, or maybe rook f8, or maybe something like that. But it's obvious that white is winning here because rook is much better than this bishop. Moreover, for example, if he escapes, then at least we can capture here and then win because we get an extra pawn on in this pawn endgame. So it should be a winning position. Actually, there is no other option. If king h7 immediately, then at least he loses his rook. Okay, is bishop d3 possible? When? Right now? I don't think it makes sense. What's the idea? Okay, let me play queen c1. I want to capture on f4. Yes. Queen d8 doesn't threaten anything here. No, let's say you want to play this move, rook f7, rook d8, king h7, and bishop d3 in this position. No, it doesn't make sense because he can just take and you are down a piece. Oh, of course, you have a pawn as a compensation, but it's black who is winning now. Okay, guys. First, rook d8. Yeah, so this is what I demonstrated. No, it doesn't work because here black rook is alive. And if you play bishop d3, he can just sacrifice the queen for the bishop. And he has two pieces while you have only rook on d3. So Michael, it doesn't work. Only bishop f7 with bishop g6. Okay, guys, I hope you learned much from this webinar, especially that when you play a middle game with bishops of opposite color, your task is to create weaknesses near the enemy king. And what means weaknesses? It can be weak pawns or it can be weak squares that you can occupy with your pieces. And what is more important, these weak squares near the enemy king should be of the same color as your ducks, as your bishop, because if so, then you can exploit them by moving your pieces and especially your bishop to these squares, but your opponent can't cover them with his bishop, and it works like extra piece. And of course, when you initiate your attack, you should always think about a counter attack of your opponent. So at the same time, your task is not to give him a chance. Okay, so today I consider it Javier was the most active student. That's why I want you to play a game against me here on chess.com. Javier, are you ready? Okay. Okay, guys. Okay, so one game. Who wants? Just a blitz game, 3+2. Okay, so your account is Bolsa1? No, I can send you a challenge. So here, play with a friend, then username Bolsa1 online. Okay, unrated options. I play random, but the time control will be 3+2. Okay, play. I sent you a challenge, so if you're ready, let's play. Okay. Okay, guys, who wants to play? Nobody. I just sent the challenge. Okay, fine. Now we play with Javier and Diamond White. Okay, e4. It's unrated game. However, I'm going to comment. Okay, e6. Are we going to play with another variation? Oh, c5. I think this is a mistake. Anusha, you'll be the second. Wait, you just blunder it on d5. I'll just get a pawn for free. Anusha, can you remind your nickname on chess.com? Wait, bishop f2? Does it make any sense? You just don't understand it. Queen b6, okay. Queen b6, and what then? Okay, let me play bishop e3 move, and I want to sacrifice the pawn on b2, I think. Oh, queen f6. No, queen f6, knight f3. Knight to e7. Queen d4, I offer a trade. No, if so, it's a winning position for me because of extra piece. Castle, say bishop d3. Rook e1. Okay, let's retreat maybe. What else can I do? Okay, let's retreat for now. Because this dark squared bishop is important for this position. However, I can... Okay, king g1. I was afraid of knight g4. Okay, let's trade the material. Bishop g5. Yeah, bishop g5. Let's trade the rooks. Okay, let's take it. And then I offer another trade. If so, first I take on e8. And I'm still up a piece. You know, two bishops can compensate an extra pawn in some positions. Looks like you have to play, yes, this move. I could take this pawn early, and this one as well. Okay, so it's not a big problem for me. Let me take a piece. I'm okay with knight b2 move. Okay, fine. Okay, so the next is Anusha, and I also play one game with Anthony. Anusha, please go to a live section of chess.com. So play with a friend. Unrated. 3 plus to play. Okay, Anusha, I sent you a challenge. Please go to live section and accept it. Fine, again, I'm white here. Okay, e4. Yeah, knight f3. Actually, I don't remember this opening. I mean, of course I know, but I don't remember this exact line. Here, black has several plans. Not several, but 3, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let's castle. a6. a6 is not a good move in this position. I don't remember why. And what should I do? Okay, knight d2. c5. c4. I'm not sure actually if I'm playing properly. If knight e7 instead of c4, then if knight e7 instead of a6, then c4 is a good move. But I think white can be better in this position anyway. Mm-hmm, 97. Okay, I don't know how to play, and I want to play queen a4. I'm not so sure about this move. Let's try. This is not a good move, but let's try it anyway. And d takes on c4, I believe, doesn't work. Okay, c takes d4, knight takes d4. Mm-hmm. Maybe I can play c6 later. f4, f5 is another idea in this position. Maybe b4. Okay, knight f5. I expected this move. I think I should take. Yeah, I should take on f5. Then I should somehow protect, but okay, let's do b4. Then bishop b2 can be played to protect on e5. Bishop e7. Okay, knight b3. Then f4. Then knight to d4. Taking the bishop. Yeah, let's do knight d4. No, I think bishop e4 was a better option, but fine. Okay, let's just make this move first. b5, who cares? I can take this pawn. Yeah, I think it makes sense. After rook e8, I take the second pawn. Knight c5. That was the idea. Okay, queen a3. The queen is hanging. No, now it's winning position, of course. My task is just not to blunder anything. Okay. Okay, rook c3. Rook c8 is my next move. And then it's over. Okay, fine. So Anthony is the next. Bishop d7. Play with a friend. Okay, so Anthony, I sent you a challenge. Okay, let's play. Again, I'm playing with white pieces. I don't know why. Knight f3. Bishop c4. Knight g5. Oh, I believe here d5 is the only move. Then I play d4. It's known as lolly attack. Oh, wait. First, castle first. f6. That's a strange move, of course. Queen, bishop. Rook e1 can be played. Okay, what about this move? Okay, check. Check. Is it a checkmate? Knight before and then see. This is a move. Okay, fine. Queen h3, king d6. Check with the bishop. Okay, bishop e6. Well, let's take it. Oh, my knight is hanging. However, I don't think it's a big deal. I'll take it with my bishop then. Maybe I could checkmate somewhere early, I think. Oh, by the way, guys, don't miss my webinars. I think the next one will be devoted to Semislav defense, and maybe the one after that to Sicilian. Semislav for black and Sicilian maybe for black too. Okay, queen f3. However, I think a better choice was just to trade the queens and play knight f7. Anusha, not today, not today. We can play, but not today because it's time to finish the webinar and this is the last game I play. Oh, so finally white took, okay, bishop g5 for now. Oh, even the number of pieces and pawns is equal here. Okay, let's give a check. Bishop f4. Wait, this is a queen blunder. Yeah, on next Sunday there will be a webinar that will be devoted to Semislav defense. How to play Semislav defense for black. No, you know, Semislav is d5, c6, c6 formation. Okay, fine. Yes, Anthony, it's a winning game. Okay, guys, thank you for participating in my webinar. Don't miss the next one. Follow me on chess.com and also please join our Tricks of Chess group. Here it is. No, you can find it on this link. I can copy it again. It's just no, the name is Tricks of Chess. Okay, yeah, I believe you had so just a few seconds. That's why you missed your queen was attacking. Okay, thank you. Let's finish the webinar for today. I hope you come to the next one.